welcome to NDE TV. I'm Peggy Robinson. Today's guest is Ken Flowerdew, and I had Ken and his wife Natalie on last week. They both had NDEs around about the same time because they both got sick with botulism. Is it called sick with botulism? Come down botulism? I don't know how you word it. You're both in ICU, so they can watch that story last week with both of you. So today is you're going to tell us your story. You weren't ready last week.
Right. Well, I'm ready.
Okay.
I think. Okay. I don't remember what all we talked about the other day. I don't remember how much of it I shared with you, but where do you want me to start? Just how at the beginning, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, about the time everybody in the world was dealing with COVID breaking out, we were too. And Natalie was getting stuff prepared for us for whatever was coming down the pike. And she was kind of new to canning and that kind of thing. And she was canning away. And she canned some asparagus. And it was delicious. I love asparagus. And so one night, I got us a couple of ribeye steaks and we had fresh canned asparagus. And that was the last meal we had. And anyway, so the next morning after we ate it, I mean, I had no idea I'd eaten anything bad for me. It tasted great. Couldn't smell anything wrong with it. Nothing. And I get up and I go to work the next morning and I started getting double vision. And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't feel sick or anything. Felt fine. But I had to busy, it was weird. And maybe I should lay down. So I went and tried to relax for about 15, 20 minutes. That didn't work. It was still there. So I ended up going home early that day. And I finally did get sick. I'm a plumber, and I had my apprentice drive us back to the shop. By the time we got back to the shop, 5 minutes away from the job, I got pretty violently ill for just a minute. It wasn't very long, but it was pretty bad for a few minutes. And then Natalie came and picked me up at the shop. I get home and figure I'm just going to lay down in bed for a little while, and hopefully I'll wake up and it'll blow over. But I fell asleep for about an hour or so. And when I got up, my dog jumped up on me and I told her to get down. And when I did, my words were slurred and I couldn't talk right. And my eyesight was still really bad. In fact, it was a little bit worse. And I started feeling a little bit of paralysis setting in. I had never experienced anything like that before. So, my age, we're immediately thinking I'm having a stroke. I've never had a stroke before. I don't know what it's supposed to feel like, but whatever it was, something was wrong. And so hospital and Natalie still hadn't had any symptoms even kick in yet. Well, I think we shared quite a bit of this last week when we talked, right? I got admitted first, and we didn't know what was going on. So they decided they wanted to put me through a CAT scan or CT scan or whatever. They put you through this tunnel that makes a lot of noise. That's all I know. And they want of what was it they gave me? The red stuff. Oh my gosh, iodine. They gave me a shot of iodine, and I had no idea I was allergic to it. Well, by this time, my eyes had shut. It starts from the top down. It just starts shutting things down. My eyes had shut down. They closed. Now I couldn't talk. And now with the iodine, I couldn't breathe. My throat closed up on me. And all I could do was point at my throat and go, and that was the last thing I remembered. Next thing I knew, I came to, and they had a tube down my throat pumping pumping oxygen into my lungs. Still had no idea what was going on. Now I'm completely paralyzed. My body would not work. That was the strangest, even thinking about it right now, it's so strange to think back on it. It's almost like it was a dream, like it didn't really happen, but it did. And still didn't know what was going on. I have asthma really bad. So my lungs were not happy with this thing shoved down my throat. They did not like that at all. And everything closed up on me. So for the next 7 days, I was in a complete mode of suffocation the entire time. I was being suffocated the entire time. I thought I was dead. I thought I was going to die. And by the time day 7 rolled around, I was so tired. I was just, I mean, I can't, the only way I can describe what it was like is imagine yourself 100 feet below the surface of the water. The only connection to you and oxygen above is a coffee straw that long, you know, a little tiny McDonald's coffee straw and reaching all the way to the top. And you could just gulp a little tiny bit of air through that every once in a while, just enough to stay alive. That's what it was like for me for 7 days. And I couldn't communicate. I was locked in my body. I was aware of everything. I could hear everything. I was completely aware of everything going on around me. I couldn't respond, couldn't open my eyes, couldn't see anything. Day 7 rolls around. I'm in intensive care. And it was late at night. And I had finally come to the terms that this is it. This is how I'm going to go. And they say that your life flashes before your eyes and all that. Well, it didn't really for me. I've had close brushes with death before, you know, doing stuff like, you know, whitewater rafting and that kind of thing. And never had my life flash before my eyes. But what did happen, and this is what happened to me on this day too, is all the most important people in my life, everybody that I had met and known along the way in my experience here on Earth, just one by one came across my mind. And I just prayed for them and let them go. You know, I was letting go of this world. I knew that. And I was a believer. I knew Jesus. I've known him since 1991. It's kind of a long, kind of an interesting story. I got saved in 91, but about a dozen or so years after that, had some pretty tumultuous things happen in my life, and I had gotten away from it and really didn't give him much thought anymore. Didn't really get into the word much anymore, and you know, I still believed in him. But I wasn't walking closely with him, that's for sure. Well, now here I am laying in my deathbed, and everything kind of came into focus for me. You know, that a close brush with death will do that for you, as you know. You know, it'll bring things into focus that you wouldn't otherwise probably think about. And so I just prayed, Father, let me think of everybody I need to pray for. You know, my kids were first, you know, my wife, all the people close to me, the people I loved that meant a lot to me, but even people that I just met that were even acquaintances that came to my mind, I prayed for, you know. And it's like, I think everybody we meet in this life is somewhat of a divine appointment. Not somewhat, I think it is. I don't believe in coincidences anymore. Let's put it that way. Like somebody said, I believe in coincidences, I've just never seen one. It's kind of like that for me. So I was praying for people that came to mind, and just let them go. And behind it all, actually through it all, above it all around it, the most important thing that was in my mind was that my sins were forgiven. Honestly, that was the only thing that really mattered when it came to that point, because I knew that Oh, let me step back a little bit. I'm in that room on the 7th day. I think it's interesting. It was the 7th day that is significant to me. Still hadn't cut a trach into me. They still didn't have me on a vent. And so this machine was failing me. It was failing me. It wasn't getting enough oxygen into me. And so the machine would go off, there'd be a puff of oxygen, and I could hear the respiratory therapist tell the doctor, yeah, he didn't receive any out of that one. Nope, no oxygen received, over and over. And I'm just laying there dying, suffocating. I just wanted to go. And I was ready. I just said,
You got
Father,
botulism, you're allergic to the iodine, and the machine wasn't working.
the machine it was a bad day.
Your number was up.
It was a rough day. Yeah, you know. And so the strange thing was, though, like I said, I couldn't open my eyes and see anything physically, but I could hear everything. My mind, I could see this curtain around my bed. It was like a thick velvet curtain is what it looked like. I don't really know how to describe it. Kind of like that. It's just a thick velvet curtain that was wrapped kind of around my bed, encompassing me. And I'm laying here praying for people, letting go. I can't even tell these people I know I'm dying, but I know I'm dying. And I'm a little bit scared. I'm a little bit intimidated. I don't know what I'm about to see. And I knew I'd be fully aware of where I'd be. I just didn't know what it would be like. So I wanted to make sure that I'm right with you on your terms. I just pray all my sins are forgiven, every one of them. I want to be ready to meet you, but I'm about ready to meet you. Just whatever's wrong in me, bring it to mind. Whatever there is left for me to do, let me do it. Show me. I just want to be right, and I want to be ready to meet you when you come. I'm ready. Please come get me. You know, that's where I was at. And in my mind's eye, on the other side of that curtain, I saw a light appear. It's like just it lit up on the other side of the curtain. Like I said, this is in my, I don't know if it was my imagination or what, but I saw it, and I can still hear the next to me. And the light gets closer and closer and brighter and brighter. It came right up to the curtain, or it was just like it was on the other side, just on the other side. And I never heard an audible voice. To try to describe how I heard it is really difficult, but it was like I heard it deep in my soul. It was a Bible verse. It said, "Be still and know that I am God." And it just put me at peace. I was you're not going to go yet. It's not time to go. It wasn't really, but I knew it deep down in my soul. It's like he spoke to me in this strange way that I knew what he was saying to me, but I didn't hear it with my ears. Completely put me at peace. And I laid there for a little while longer, listening to the conversation, you know, no oxygen, this and that. And I fell asleep. And the next thing I knew, I woke up and they had already got me downstairs and cut the trach into me, got me on a vent, and the machine was breathing for me, and I was alive, and I made it. And that was the end of day 7. And that was the beginning of my 6-month journey through botulism. So I didn't leave my body. I didn't die that I'm aware of. Um, I knew I was about to die. And as I laid there watching this light come to me on the other side of this curtain, he never came to this side of the curtain. I never saw his face. But as the light approached, it got right up to me and then went off to my right hand side, and I could see it out of my peripheral vision in my mind, I guess. And he was just right on my right hand side as he spoke those words to me, "Be still, no, I've got you." And so I guess I had more of a visitation. It was a near death experience because I was as near to death as I'd ever been.
Yeah, and you had an experience. So
It was, yeah, yeah. And what was interesting was I was in the hospital for 6 months to the day, actually, exactly 6 months to the day. But I went from that hospital shortly after that episode happened. They moved me to another hospital, and I was there for a month. And then I went to I went to another hospital. I was there for 3 months. Then I went from that one to another one, and I was there for a month. Then I almost died again. And they sent me back to that hospital where I just had the experience a month before. And they just happened to put me right back in the exact same room in ICU. But this time I got to see it with my eyes open. And there was a green curtain in that room, which was interesting. It wasn't the same color of green, but there was one there. And by that time I could talk a little bit. I could mouth words a little bit. And so everybody that walked into my room got to hear that story. Some people liked hearing it, some people didn't. But it was quite the experience. It was interesting. Changed my life. It got me it. Honestly, going through all of it, I wouldn't change it for the world. So many good things came out of it. I didn't know Natalie sent those pictures of my bodybuilding days to you until I watched the video and I turned it on, and that's the first thing I saw. Oh, thanks for telling me. But in those days, I was pretty self-reliant. Those were the days that I was in my heart quite a ways from God. He wasn't the first thought in my mind every day. At that point, I was at that point in my life where I had pretty much wandered away from him, and I think he had to strip all that away from me. Which isn't such a bad thing. It's actually a good thing.
you mean the bodybuilding?
Yeah. Those were fun days, but that's all vanity, it really is. And I just realized how frail. Yeah, I was strong and big and all that stuff, but how frail that body is, one breath away from eternity, really. Yeah, you can have all that. I'm glad he stripped that away from me.
One
really
breath
am.
from eternity. That's pretty profound sentence.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And when I tell people about it, I get people that ask me, well, what was it like when you were about to die? What did it feel like? And to describe it, if you've ever been on a roller coaster, a really big, scary roller coaster, it's kind of like, because I knew I was about to step across that line. I was about to go and see what was on the other side of that curtain. It was kind of like going up a roller coaster in the front seat. You're in the very front, and you're going up and up and up, and you can hear it click, 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 and you're getting close to the top, and it's getting intense, and you're about to go over the edge. It was kind of like that,
It's like you're going, whether you want to or not, you're going.
Yep. What is going to await me on the other side? Am I ready? Am I really ready? None of that mattered. Nothing material entered my mind. It was like thing from my mind. All that mattered was that I was ready to meet him. You know, I just wish to everybody that you got to be ready, because every one of us are going to take that trip. We're all going to go on that trip, and it's a solo trip, and you're going to meet your maker, and he's going to examine you and he knows everything. There's nothing you can't hide anything from him. Be ready. You got to be ready. You got to meet him on his terms.
And isn't it strange how we instinctively know when we're about to die?
Yeah.
Even in my 5-year-old drowning, I had a knowing. As soon as I seen that board floating in the water, suddenly I had this knowing that something special was about to happen and that I was going to always remember it. It was just a knowing feeling. Of course, I didn't understand it, but every time I remember finding that board, I remember that strong feeling like this is going to happen. Something's about to happen.
Yeah.
And then, you know, of course, with the twins in the car on the way to the hospital, yeah, I had the pain, but when the pain suddenly faded, I instinctively knew deep inside my soul, like my voice was talking to me, but said, wherever that pain is going, that's where you're going, or where I'm going. And I thought that sounds strange, but yet I knew it was a fact that my pain just went somewhere, like my soul was following it, like I was trailing it. And like I thought later, you know, that's kind of strange. Like, why would your pain go to heaven before you? You know, do they take it? You know what I mean? What is there a connection there? But I felt that so surely. Wherever my pain just went, that's where I'm going. And I started praying inside myself to God, not let me die right here on the highway. Let my husband get me to the hospital first. I don't want him freaking out along the highway. His wife's dead in the car, 25 years old, you know. I don't want to do that to him. Just let me at least get to the hospital parking lot. If I'm going to die, just, you know, 5 more miles. Just let me get there. I don't want to die right here. Do that to him. And so, yeah, it's so strange. Those moments, what thoughts go through, and they stay with us.
Yes, absolutely. I can't every day. Well, it's kind of fresh to me. You know, it's been 15 months.
But it always will be. That will not fade. It's like our soul memory. Like we have our memory, we went to the post office and we got the mail, you know. But it seems to me like when this all stuff, these memories are in our soul. We were just our soul at that time. It seems like the soul don't forget. Like they're embedded. It's not faulty like our brain forgets. It just stays as crisp and preserved throughout time, decades.
And you had more than one experience, didn't you?
Had to.
Yeah. Wow. I guess I did too. I had one, like I said earlier, I've had other close brushes. I had one when I was, I'll share this. This is kind of interesting. I never really thought of that as a near-death experience, but it was. I was whitewater rafting, not on this river behind me. This is my trout fishing river here. But there's a whitewater rafting river not far from us here that's a class 5 or class 4. I think it's one of the high, you got to be a real good rafter really to brave those rapids. Well, it's a long story. We ended up with not that great of a guide. And we found out later on that he's had some serious problems on the river. Well, he took us into one of those serious problems, and I was actually in leadership at our church at that time. I went to a church in Hayden, and we live in North Idaho, by the way. Anyway, we went on this trip with my youth pastor was there, and a couple of the elders from the church and their families, and a bunch of us. But anyway, a bunch of us guys ended up getting dumped off in this rapid called Tumbleweed. And I mean, this thing was just a man-eating, churning whitewater monster that I'd never been whitewater rafting before. It chewed us up and spit us out and Fortunately, the women stayed on the raft, but a bunch of us guys got jetted off. It spit us right off the raft. And next thing I knew, I was floating down river. I had a life jacket on, but it didn't matter. I was just being sucked away to my demise. Nothing I could do about it. And but my sunglasses were still on. I remember that. They were pressed to my face, and I looked up and I could see the surface of the water getting further and further away. And it's like, I remember that to this day. Like, this is it. This is how I'm gonna die. And what was really interesting was that morning on my way to the church, I was listening to, I don't know if you know, Focus on the Family.
Hey, Ken, you're getting a little quiet. Can you get a little closer to the speaker?
Yeah. Here, I'll turn it up too. I don't know if that'll
Oh, there you go. That helped.
that better. Okay. So I'm listening to a radio program called Focus on the Family. And the guy that was speaking that day on my way to go whitewater rafting talked about a whitewater rafting trip that he went on and almost died. It's like, oh, great. This should be fun. And then in the white water, doing exactly what he had described happened to him. It's like, wow, how interesting a way to go. And oh, that's cool. There's a moose walking up right here. I don't know if I can turn and see. Can you see what? Can you see that truck right over there? Can you see that moose walking up there? Oh, could you see it? He's standing there looking at me. You see it?
Oh my gosh, I see it.
It's a little moose. I hope Mama's not around. Oh boy.
Live near-death experience.
Yeah, I got another one going. Yeah. Oh man.
You're gonna die, but my ratings
No.
are gonna go through the roof.
This will be the best video ever. Oh wow. Yeah. I'm serious. I'm looking. I don't see Mama around, but okay. I'll be having my eyes peeled here. Where was I? All right.
You heard him talking about water rafting on the radio.
Yeah, and now I'm being dragged to my death down the Clark Fork River in Montana. And I really did. I remember, I still to this day, and how many years ago was that? That was, like you said, it just stays with you. That had to be 25 years ago that happened, at least more than that. But I remember it like it was yesterday. Wherever it was, happened to be a kayaker, and he had been following me down the river, I guess. And when I latched onto him, I had a death grip. I wasn't letting go. And he's all, hey buddy, why don't you let go of me and grab a hold of that tassel at the end of my kayak there. And he wanted to talk to me. I wasn't wanting to talk. I hadn't breathed for a while, so I was not in a real talkative situation there. But anyway, the guy talked to me as he paddled me back over to my raft. And I got back to safety, and he was gone. I turned around and he was gone. To this day, I wonder if that was, I don't know where. But anyway, kayaker saved my life.
I didn't catch that last part. To this day, you wonder what?
Oh, I wonder if it was an angel. You know, it says in the Bible that we entertain angels sometimes unaware. We don't know it. And the way that happened, it was just interesting. He came from out of nowhere. I didn't see him floating down the river chasing me. And then next thing I knew, I bumped into him and I grabbed a hold of him, and he paddled me back over to my raft. And then I turned around to look at him and to say thank you, and he was gone. I never saw him again. He just vanished.
Did you say he said something to you?
Yeah, he said, what did he say to me? He said, well, you look like, the first thing he says to me is, looked like you had a little bit of downtown time there. He goes, I followed you down the river quite a ways. And I don't remember what else he said, but I just remember him saying downtown time. Yeah, I was downtown, all right. And then he told me to grab a hold of the tassel at the end of his boat. And yeah, it was like he was there, appeared from out of nowhere, and then disappeared just as quick.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I never thought of that as a near-death experience, but it was.
It makes you
sure.
wonder if there was some divine intervention there.
I know. I don't know. That was strange, but I had a whole new promise you that.
Well, I've had some of my other guests say that somebody appeared and helped them, and they said it was not possible. Even Mary Neal's story of her kayaking, she drowned incident. There was like people there that couldn't have been there that helped them get her like to an ambulance, and said the ambulance is never out there. They were somewhere where like their ambulances just are not there, like way out somewhere. And just the things that happened, she says it just wasn't possible. She got rescued the way that she was rescued.
Wow.
She's an orthopedic surgeon, and she experienced these miracles.
Yeah. And that's what it feels like. It does. It seems like when something like that happens, it's like, was that a miracle? Was that real? Was that really a miracle? And I don't know if it's like that for anybody else, but you always think, oh, I can't. Miracles don't happen.
Well, what would have happened if he hadn't been there?
I know I would have. Oh, are you there?
Yeah. Would you say it froze up for a second?
Well, I said I wouldn't be here talking to you now. I don't. I think he really saved my life. Yeah, I don't think much about that one.
Yeah. And what's the odds of somebody being right there at that moment too?
Right. Yeah. But it does stick with you all through your life. I mean, it's like those moments are the most crystal clear moments. you can
and it leaves you with gratitude, feeling like, what do you want me to do that you would, change nature's course of action?
Right.
Present these things to where I lived when most people don't, when so many people die of these situations, like botulism even. I mean, not many people survive that.
Right.
And you and your wife both did. And like that accident there, and a guy happened to be there, and you think, what's the odds? And what would have happened if he wasn't there? And why was he there? And that's what it does to me. It just leaves me with gratitude and a feeling of, am I meant to do something?
Yeah, exactly. What do you want me to do with the rest of my time here? Yeah, for some reason we were left here for a little bit longer, weren't we? Yeah. And it's not an accident, it's not coincidence. There's a reason behind it. I don't know. Well, it's like I told you, just by talking to you, and I didn't plan on this. It's something my wife decided to do, without me knowing, hooking us up to talk. It's really caused me to take a couple of things. One, the YouTube channel I was talking to you about, I started right before botulism hit me. Oh, why wouldn't I do that? I should probably pick that back up and start back over. That, and I've always wanted to write a book, and now I have the time while I'm recovering from this and sitting out here by this beautiful river and getting better, getting my strength back. And, I have the time. Why wouldn't I write my book? That's something I should do. But what is it he wants us to do? I think he'll be real clear in showing it to us. I think he will. Left us here by accident. Really don't. There's got to be a reason. And that's something everybody says. Every time I tell the story, it's like, wow, you're here for a reason. Yeah. I'd like to know clearly what it is.
I think we don't know until the time comes. And then we're like, oh, I think this is why.
Yeah. And maybe even after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it could be way more than just one reason. The
Right.
more I get to know him, the more I see how he works, and he accomplishes many things with one move, you know. He doesn't waste any moves, that's for sure.
And
So
some guests I've had, they say, you know, they find out later their mother was praying for them at that time. And they were told in their near-death experience, it was because their mother was praying for them, and they promised, I promised your mother, you know.
oh,
And so we don't know, you know, what prayers do. You know, even, you
right.
know, if people were praying for you and your wife while you're in the hospital.
And
And
I know they were.
so, I mean, those
Yeah.
things matter.
Yeah, for sure. And even if it's just one person, you know, that's what Natalie and I talked about that the other day. It's like, what if it was just one person, you know, that God wanted to use us for, to get them, you know, to that place where they would accept him. It would be worth it, you know. And I could see that. And I do know of at least one person that got saved after we were okay as a result of this. In fact, it was my when I got sick with botulism, I had a sister I hadn't talked to in 20 years. And it took this to get us back together. She came and visited me, and it brought us back together. And that's one of the things, you know, like I said, I wouldn't change it for the world because so many good things happened as a result. That's one of them. And her husband, if he's not saved now, if he's not ready to meet the Lord now, he's definitely on his way. He as a result of this whole thing, it opened him up, got him into a place where he seriously considered God, seriously considered the Lord Jesus, seriously considered the Bible. He actually prayed with me. I've known him 40 years. But this is soften. Even if it's just that one person, it's worth it.
Yeah. And that's why I love people be able to share their story, whether they're doing it at their church or on a podcast or, you know, around a campfire. When you
Mm-hmm.
share your story, you don't know how it's affecting somebody else. They may even laugh at you and roll their eyes and walk away, but you don't know
Right.
later how
Right.
that might have affected them. Because I'm amazed all the time stuff I hear later that I wouldn't have never guessed somebody was affected.
Oh shoot, can you see me?
Yeah,
Oh no, I can't see you. What happened?
I don't know.
Oh no,
I'm here.
I don't know what's going on. Oh well, I don't see you, but you can see me.
Yeah,
I
I
guess I
see you
can.
just as fine as I did. So I don't know.
Okay, that's weird. Well,
Can you see
yeah,
yourself? Or
I cannot see me. I don't know
okay, can't
what.
see anything.
Yeah, I have
Well, it's
no idea.
recorded on my computer, so I think we're good.
Okay.
You're just looking at a black screen.
Yeah, no, another screen came up that's like an ad for something, and it's taken up the whole screen.
Oh no.
Weird. Okay, well, whatever. All right. Well, you can see
Okay.
me. That's good.
Yeah, I see you. So is there anything else you'd like to add?
Can't think of anything. Um, oh yeah, yeah, there is something. The reason I wanted to do today, I decided to go ahead and do today was you know the date today is what is it? 2 22
Yes, it is. 22. Yeah.
2022, and it's Tuesday and all it, right? First, and well, last time we talked, I shared with you that one of my weird little things I do is I tell people, hey, there is an afterlife, and get ready. And when we get there, let's have a meeting place. And I say, meet me at the tree. And there's a roadmap to this particular tree in Ezekiel 47 verses 1 through 12. Tells you how to find this grove of trees. Well, that tree is described specifically in Revelation 22 verse 2. So I wanted to do that today.
Okay.
22 2 22, 2, 2. So it's pretty memorable. All right. So anyway,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. I'll put the link on here for your channel so people can look at your channel and see.
Okay.
So
And
maybe
if
you'll
anybody
pick
goes
that
and
back
looks
up.
at that, if anybody goes and looks at that channel, I have not touched it since botulism. I set it up and I just started. I barely even learned how to do a video at all. So they're not that great, but there's a couple of interesting ones. I there's only about 4 videos on there, so it won't take you long to look at them. But forgive my my sketchiness with the videos. They're not that great, but I might pick it back up and start again. So yeah, go check them out.
All right. All right, Ken. Well, tell Natalie I said hi.
I will. Hey, and say a prayer for her. She's actually right now, she's got a hot pack next to her head. She's got a bad toothache. I got to take her into the doctor tomorrow. She's getting her tooth worked on. So
Oh,
she could.
let me tell you what works. Earache drops.
Earache drops.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, because it numbs right in there where you need it. Is it down in here, like in the molar?
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll numb that.
Oh, okay.
Of course, alcohol and aspirin help, but those
Okay.
eardrop, those
I
earache
made her.
drops, because it numbs that down right in there. I told my
Okay.
dentist, orthodontist, and all about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll check it out. I
Because
made her.
I had trouble. They messed up my teeth and stuff and had to redo stuff. And I was in pain for a long time. And I told him, I said, my husband got me earache drops. And I thought, what'd you give me that for? But that, I said, it was the best thing because it goes in your ear and it numbs right in there where you want it numb.
Okay. And you just put it on your tooth, like.
No. You put it in your ear.
Oh. Oh, okay, I'm glad you told me.
You put the earache drops in your ear, on the side where you're having your pain, and it'll go in there and it'll numb that. And it helps with the pain.
We'll try that. She is in excruciating pain right now. She's very miserable.
Yeah,
so.
pick her up some ear drops. She's gonna think you're nuts.
All right.
You just squeeze that in there. But a
Awesome.
little alcohol and aspirin help too.
All right. All right. Cool. We'll do it. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, Peggy. Bye-bye.